Good morning, everybody. Today we're gonna start with components. So the main aim of this program is not actually to do anything. So please don't look into any uses for this. The main aim of this program is just to show you all the different components that we will be using and then how to interact with them. So just a layout of what we've got here. We've got a label, just a normal label. The label's name, when you rename it, when you give it a name, it will start with a LBL, and then something. So whatever this label has to do with is for a label. A label is just there to give us information. It's not actually there to be interacted with from the user side. It's just there to say, to give us information about the edit boxes close to it, or a heading for something, or anything to that fact. The next one we've got here is an edit box. The edit box, when you give it a name, it will start with EDT. So the name, EDT for edit, and then whatever it has to do with. The edit box is used for interaction. So that's the place where we can ask the user to enter something for us, or that the user can interact with this box. So we can use this also as a communication channel to get information from the user. The next one we've got here is a combination of the two. It is our labeled edit. Now the labeled edit we will also call EDT. But with this one, so when you give it the name, it will be EDT, but it's a combination of the two. You'll see in the properties, you've got a property called edit label. If you expand that one, everything on the inside has to do with the label itself. So inside the label part, you can change your caption to change the information there and so forth. But then if you're not in the edit label part, so what you've got here by text is what will be inside the text box section. So this one is a combination between the two. Our next component we've got here is our combo box. So start with CBO, or some places calls it CMB for combo box, and then whatever you want to call it. So CMB something or CBO something. Now a combo box is there for the user to choose something from a list of options. When you want to interact with this one, you'll actually use the items section. In items, if you expand it, that's where you can give all the options, like pear, grape, banana, if you wanted fruits in there. So when this program is played, you'll actually see in the combo box, when you run it, you'll see the options there. You'll see it's also got a text property. The text property is what's immediately on the outside. So that's what's written there. So sometimes you'll have to put in the text, you'll say choose from any of the following to put it in there. Our next one we've got there is our memo. Oh no, this is a list box. The list box is similar to our combo box. The difference, however, we can choose now from there. So with the combo box, you have to click the drop down box to see the options. With the list box, you can actually see all your options to choose from there. The name starts with LST for list, and you also use the items section to work with that one. Our next one we've got is our radio button. The radio button we're not going to use so much, we'll rather use the radio button group. But for a radio button, its name is RDB for radio button. The radio button something. And the main one we're going to use from there is we're going to use the checked option. Or is checked. The checked one. Because the person will either select it or not. The next one we've got is our checkbox. So you'll see the radio button's got a circle. The checkbox has got the square. Checkbox starts with CHK. The checkbox is there for the user to also select something. So we'll also use the dot checked. The difference between a radio button and checkbox, with a radio button, you'll use when the user can only select one option, maybe like gender, so that they can only select male or female. While with a checkbox, multiple options can be selected. So that's where if you want like accessories to a car, that you can tick you want electric windows and you want this color and you want aircon and so forth. So then you'll use a checkbox so that you've got multiple options. While with the radio button, only select one. The radio button group is it's just a better version of the radio buttons in the sense that when you create the radio button group, it actually starts off empty. But then with items, you can actually add options in there where the user can select from. So when he selects the one, he can't select the other one. So you'll see now, like when we play it, if he selected male, once he selects another one, it actually takes away that option. And then with this one, we can use item index. Item index tells you which one was selected. So if the item index is 0, it's the first one. If its item index is 1, it's the second one. If item index is 2, it's the third one. But this is the radio button group. Our next one we'll use is our spin edit. Starts with SPN. Oh, I forgot about the radio button group. RDG for radio button group, or RBG, anything to that matter. It's always 3 digits and it has to do something with what its name. If you get a question paper and you're not sure what the people called it, you can just click on it. You go to the name section and you can see, oh, this one is LST and this one is RDG. The names are normally given for you. In tests, you'll get the GUI and you must then just do the coding for it. Okay, so our spin edit is SPN. On the SPN, the one we're going to use there is the value. With majority of the others, these bottom three, the radio button, checkbox, radio button group, remember, or the top two actually, we use the dot checked, which is a boolean. It will be either true or false. This one, when we use our item index, will give us the integer value of 0, 1, or 2 for which one was selected. These ones, top four, they will give us strings of which one was selected. This one also gives us an integer value. This spin edit allows us to select a number. So, and the property we're going to use is our value part. When you want to use this in a project and you want to edit some of the values, your max value and min value is nice ones that you want to use. That's the highest and the lowest value it can get. And then your where is the other one? The increment. The increment tells you by how many it jumps every time. But that you'll just do when you do it for projects. In tests, that will be already done for you. You just have to use the value that's inside there. So what you're going to use is your dot value. Next one we've got here is our rich edit. There's also another component, memo. Now memo and rich edit's exactly the same. Rich edit's name is RED, whatever, and the memo is MEM for memo, something. Both of them, you'll use your .lines.add to display something. You can use your rich edit .text. What that will do, however, it will clear what's inside and then just display the one value. So if you just want to add on to it, you'll use your rich edit.lines.add to add on to it. And the last one is the button. You already know the buttons. Starts with btn, and this is the main component that we use for the user to interact with. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do the coding in this button to extract information from each of them to show you how can we get information out of these components, put them into variables so that we can then use it. After I've explained this, I've also given you another program in this folder that I would love for you to do for me. But let's quickly go see first how we can interact with this. So the first one, the label. As I said, the label, the user will not interact with this one at all. You would only maybe want to display something there. Maybe you want to show the person's name or whatever inside there. Here at the bottom I've given some information. You can also get that from this program. I've included this program in the video folder. But what I want to show you now quickly, so with a label, when we're working with a label, the label only has an output section. It's only there, the output. You won't actually extract anything from it. If you needed to, you can use the dot caption as showed here when you want to extract data. But the user cannot change the information in there, so this is very seldomly used. But when you want to display, you'll start with your component name to label something, and then you will display in the caption. Caption is what is seen, and then you can put a string. Remember, when we output, we use strings. So whatever you want to say, whatever we want to say, you can put there, and that will then be displayed in the label. Okay, our next component that we've got is our edit box. Okay, in the edit box can be used to display an answer for the user or to extract information. So this one we can use as input or output. Remember, input is if we want information from the user, output is if we want to tell the user something. So for the input part, let's say we wanted information. Remember, the top ones I told you will always give us string. So this will be a string. I'm going to call mine string s input for a string variable with name input, and this will be a string. Okay, so our s input. So to get something out of an edit box, it's your name. It starts with edt, whatever the name is, dot text. Now whatever was in that edit box is now placed into that variable. And if you wanted to tell the user something, it would be your s input. So not s input. Now it's your edit box dot text, again the text property, and then in there you put your message, whatever. So now the word whatever will be displayed into that edit box, and whatever was inside there was placed into this variable. So it depends what you need to do with these components. Okay, our next step would be our labeled edit. Our labeled edit. So our labeled edit would also be, as I said, it's very similar to our edit box and label combined. But we'll actually never put anything into the label itself. We'll only use the edit box section, and it works exactly the same as our edit box. So for our input and output, it would look identical actually. The only thing is you'll use your other edit box. You'll see my second one, this labeled edit, I called edt something 2. The only difference is if you want to get information, you use your edt something 2.text and put that into a variable. It will also be a string. And if you want to output something, it's your edit something 2.text and then the word. So that will be displayed. Okay, then our next component we've got is our combo box. Now the combo box, we can add options into this combo box to give these some more options. So you'll remember we had some fruits inside there. What we can do for our combo box, if you wanted to add some options, this is not frequently done, but sometimes you do get this option that you want to add something to it. So in our combo box, in our items, we could want to add um, something. And you'll see all this coding that I've done inside my button. Let's quickly see if we play this thing. So you'll see my edit box still got EDT something. This edit box is empty. That one is called labeled something. And in my combo box, I've got pear, grape, banana. But once I click the button, that is now suddenly whatever, that is whatever, there's displayed whatever. And then in here, we've got something added. So it gives us those options. That's basically what we've done so far. Now, most of the time the user is going to select something from the combo box and we want to use that. Add some options. So this is sort of an output. Let's do the input first. So let's say we want some information from the user. Our combo box also gives us a string. So your S input would then just be your combo box dot text. Okay. Okay, our next component would be our list box. Now the list box, as I said, is very similar to the combo box. However, to extract the information is a bit more difficult. So let's go see what we can do. So our next one is our list box. So to extract the data, so for input, so the user selected something, we want that word out. It's still a string, so we'll use our string input. And then with this particular one, we'll use our list. So it's always component name first, dot, and then items. So what dot items will do, it will give us the word of a particular one. So if I set a 0 inside here, this would give me always the first one. So I'll always see Jan. And if I put a 1 in there, I will always get the second one, which is Pit. So the first one is 0, that's 1, that's 2. But now we don't always want the same one, we want the one the user selected. So to know the one that he selected, we have to, inside here, put the position of the one that was selected. So to get that, we have to say again our list something dot item index. So this item index section gives us the position of the one that was selected. And then we want the item at that position. And that will do that. So you can learn this off by heart, but it's good to understand what this certain sections has to do. So list something new, our list box name dot item index gives us the position of the one that was selected as an integer. So it will give us a 0, a 1, or a 2. And then the dot items gives us the name of the item at that position. And this is a string, and that will be in our string variable. Let's say we wanted to add some options. So this is also to add some options. So that's sort of an output. Again, in our list box, in our item section, we want to add, and we wanted to add something. And that will, as with our combo box, it will add an option to your list box. Okay, the next item we've got is our radio button. So we want to see if that one is checked or not. As I said, this gives us a Boolean value. So let's call it C. and it's a boolean. Remember, with the boolean data type, it's only true or false. So we now with the radio button. So step 1 would be our input, get information from it. So our C gets the value, and then we're gonna say our radio button dot checked. This will give us a true or false. What you'll do with this, most of the time, you're gonna do a if. If C is true, then do whatever you want to. Maybe yeah, maybe a show message or whatever. Okay, let's just say yeah, do something. Okay, I'm just gonna take that one out, otherwise it's gonna break our coding. And then the output here, most of the time, it's the user that needs to select it. So we won't want it to be checked. But if for some funny reason in your coding you need it to be checked, then you'll say your radio button something dot checked is equal to true. That will make it checked already for you. Then our checkbox is exactly the same. So for input, we'll use our boolean variable, and our checkbox, we're going to see if it's checked. And for output, if for some reason you wanted to, again the same with this one, once you've done that, majority of the time it will start with an if, and then you'll do everything from there. For output, if you wanted to make it checked for some apparent reason, then you'll say dot checked is equals to true, and that will make it checked with coding. Okay, so that is our checkbox. Okay, then our radio button group. As I said, normally we'll get an integer value as to which option was selected. So for this one, our input will be an integer input. Okay. Radio button group. Okay, so first step for input, if we want to get the value from that component, it would be our I input, and then you'll say it's your radio button group, radio button group dot item index. That gives you the position. So this will give us an integer value of the one that was selected. You can do the same if you wanted the word of the one that was selected. It works the same as our combo box. So a string input would then be your radio button group dot items, and then in square brackets. Yes, I didn't make this. Please just take note, those ones were square brackets. And then inside there, you have your radio button group dot item index. So it works the same way. The item index gives you the position of the one that was selected, and then this gives you the name at that position. Okay, with this one there's no output part. We'll never select something from there. So this one's only got an input. Our next one we've got is our spin edit. Okay, so for the spin edit, they will also only be an input part. We'll never output anything to it. But then, as I said, it is an integer that you'll get. So it's your component name dot value. So we use the dot value. This gives us the integer value from that component and then puts it in there for us. Okay, that's our spin edit. So our last component we've got is our reach edit or the memo. Both of them will be the same. Both will also only be used for output. There is no input for them. So our reach edit. As I said, this could be a memo as well. The memo's name starts with MEM, but our reach edit is red. So this one will only be output. There will no input used from a reach edit. So it will be your red something. If you go .text, gets a value of something. What this will do, it clears, then displays. While if you went redisplay .lines .add something too in there, this just adds info to next line. So just adds on, and that's all our components. What I want to just add on to this, if you don't want to use a component but you want to display something, so let's just say display in message box, so like a pop-up box, we can use show message and then something. So this will give us a pop-up box telling us something. So this is also for output. And then for input, with a pop-up box, it will be, this is also a string, so it's our S input. So it's our S input, and then it's, we use input box. Input box has got 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. These sections we call parameters. So it's got 3 parameters. The first parameter is whatever is right on top, like there. So this is to, this is a, let's just say, pop up box. This one is your instruction to the user. So it would be something like type in something. And then this last one is our default message. Let me show you how it looks. So remember, pop-up box is on top. This is our instruction, and then that's our default. Let's go look how this looks. Okay, so the first one we'll see. Oh, let's quickly go see what went wrong. Oh, it's because we extracted something from the list, but I didn't select anything when I clicked the button. So we needed to say, we needed to select one of these ones, otherwise it didn't work, and the same with that one. So now we can click the button. So now everything worked. See, this is our show message. And then our next one, this is our, see, pop-up box is on top. There's our instruction, and there's our default message. Now, with majority of these things, I've showed you how to get something, but a lot of times it was string, and some other times it was integers. So just to also recap on that, we can do conversions to go from one data type to another. So if we want to go from string to int, we'll use str to int. And if we wanted to go from, let's say string to double, that would be string to float. And let's say we wanted to go from int to string, then it would be an int string. And let's say we wanted to go from double to string, that would be a float to string. Sometimes, remember I said we've got some boolean ones as well. Now the boolean ones you'll see we always used a if statement with that, because that's most of the time where we do use boolean. But let's say you wanted to, for some random reason, you wanted to make that boolean value also a string. You can actually go take your boolean to a string, bool to string, and the reverse. You can go from string, so you can go from string to boolean. So if the user typed in the word true and you just wanted to change that string to a boolean, you can go string to bool. This would convert those data types to the correct one you want. Also sort of included with this is if you wanted today's date, you could get the system date, so the date you've got in Windows here, and it will actually tell you what the date of today is, and that you want as a string, but it comes as a type data type, as a type date. So for this one we want to convert date to a string, and for that you just use date to string. So example, okay, all these ones will be errors now, so let's just quickly, so that I can show you the program, I'm going to just put them in comments as well to make our life a bit easier. I could have actually, do you see all these millions of comments I've got? If you've got a lot of comments and you knew you're going to do that, if you go curly open bracket and curly close bracket, they're actually all then, everything inside will automatically then be comments. So this is, then you don't have to do the 2 forward slashes the whole time. And then I don't need to remove them, but I just wanted to show you this is another option too if you wanted a big block. So let's say we wanted to see today's date, so we can use our show message, and then in there we can now use our date to string option, and then to get today's date you just write the word date. That is actually a function built into Delphi. So this will get today's date but in date format, so we just need to change it to a string so that we can display it. So now you'll see if you play this thing, I needed to select that list box. You remember we needed to tick the list box and the radio button group. We just needed to select any of them. So that's the first message box. Then this is our first input box, and then here you'll see today's date. Okay, thank you very much everybody. So this is the information that I've given you. I'll put this video will be inside the folder obviously that you just saw now, and then this program components numbers is the one I would want you to do right now for me. Thank you very much, good luck, and send me a message if you're stuck.